everyone, meteorologist Mike Prianti, and we have another special video. I'm with Brad Miller, and Brad, we are not joined with Mike Mahalik. He took the weekend off.
Yeah, he started the holiday weekend a little bit early. I wish we had better news because Memorial Day weekend was not all that great, and now this upcoming 4th of July weekend, it's almost the same kind of setup, isn't it? But we're gonna talk more about that
It
here in a
is
few
maybe
minutes.
not as cold and not as
That's
rainy,
true.
but it's gonna have very
It's an
similar
upper level low,
features.
another one.
Yeah, exactly. But before we do that, let's jump right into the tropics. And
Yeah.
it's pretty early for this time of the year, especially a storm coming off the Cape Verdes. Here's Elsa, and no Disney references. We don't want to get
No.
copyrighted here. But Hurricane Elsa, it actually strengthened in just the past couple of hours here into a hurricane. This is as of 8
Yep.
a.m., 75 miles an hour. It's going to be hitting the islands here in just probably the next few hours after this video gets sent out. It's moving north and west, and we'll have more details next week about it as it approaches the Caribbean. So won't go too
Yeah,
much into that.
it'll move on through the Caribbean Sea this weekend and maybe threaten Florida by Tuesday next week. And then beyond that, we'll have to see. But like you said, we'll revisit Elsa here early next week.
Right, right. So we'll take a look at our weather, and here, very similar to what we had on Memorial Day with the yellows and the reds. But I think comparatively, it's not going to be nearly as bad. We'll show you why. But Saturday might be a little bit tricky in Boston with the upper level system staying in place. Could be cool showers and maybe some pop-up storms. And that's basically across the entire I-95 through DC. But it gets a little bit better on Sunday, even though there are still some yellows in there. I think DC is probably the drier part of the area come the 4th of July. But there still can be some dry pockets, even up into Boston as
Yeah.
well. So we'll talk about that in just a
Yeah,
little bit.
mainly have that alternative plan in place if you're planning on outdoor activities because those showers will be popping up here and there. And
Right.
again,
So
there it is, the old upper level low.
yep, this is
And
exactly
once,
this is what we're dealing with, Brad, and this is going to be our weather maker here. Notice the ridge that brought that intensive heat is starting to slowly break down out in the west across the Pacific Northwest. They had some pretty good heat. That's moving east, and right next to it is our upper level system, which it goes all the way through Sunday, and you see just
ugh.
this is not what you want to see for a dry pattern, and we'll show you what that means, especially for temperatures too heading into Monday. But the observed day for the 4th of July on Monday, not looking too bad. We start to ridge a little bit. That'll bring in the
Yeah.
heat and humidity. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that again. But this is the Euro, and this is again going through this afternoon. We have the upper level system Friday afternoon, bringing some showers and pop-up storms. But then Saturday, this is exactly what we're talking about. Look at that. You see the yellows and oranges. Brad, what's going on? What's
Yeah, this is the all-time setup for those pop-up storms. They're going to be what we call the low-topped storms, but they can produce some quick, heavy rain, some hail, some lightning. So once again, just be prepared to head inside if you are. Again, it's not a washout everywhere all day on Saturday, even into Sunday, but there's storms going to be around, some showers going to be around, and just make sure you have that opportunity to get inside if something does develop over. It's going to be a lot, mainly, I would say Philadelphia north to Boston is going to be the best shot of seeing any kind of rain on Saturday, and then even into Sunday as well, and that's going to have a major impact on temperatures too, Mike, with this upper level low and clouds.
Exactly, and if you look at the European model for temperatures, today not too bad, but then we go into Saturday, and one thing that pops up is this in New England. I mean, 60s, and there's some 50s in there. I mean, it's definitely not something you want to see. Still upper 70s across Philly on south. So again, as you mentioned, Brad, I don't think it's going to be terrible as you go into the southern parts of the
Right.
95 into the mid-Atlantic. But depending on how widespread this can be, there can be some cooler spots even in these 70s. Depending on if you get a shower, that can definitely cool you down. But yeah, I mean, heading into Sunday too, it starts to warm up a little bit as this starts to push out. So
Right.
maybe
But
warms
New
up in
England
Boston.
still, yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not going to be as cold as Memorial Day. I'll tell you, here in the Poconos, we didn't get out of the 40s, I don't think, the entire Memorial Day weekend. At least, again, this is July. Granted, it is going to be a lot below normal, especially for New England, but, 60s for the most part, like I said, some 50s, but it won't be nearly as chilly as it was for Memorial
And
Day
then
weekend, but still the same pattern.
and then as I mentioned, with the ridge coming in next week. There you go, back to the 90s. So it's going to be, Mother Nature wants to bring the heat when we're working, I guess. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Middle of next week we start to warm up again for
yeah, but
sure.
again, this is one last model before we wrap things up here, Brad. This is the NAM, and again, you can kind of see more of the convective features here. Just very kind of showery. Honestly, could even be some drizzle in there too, Saturday
Yeah,
morning, and then the afternoon you just have the pop-up downpours. And again, you can see they're just kind of like sitting over the area. So really, any threats this weekend with any of these, it mainly would be a flooding risk, I would imagine. But
very
very a
localized
very
flooding risk. Yeah,
localized flooding because some of these could sit in this, in areas, and if it's urbanized, you could have some drainage issues. Otherwise, I don't think we're talking really anything severe out of this. Maybe a gust or two, but nothing terrible. Just
right.
gonna really impact if you want to be outside or not, and you get hit with a thunderstorm or downpour. It could make things a little bit more uncomfortable, so to speak. So, just something to keep an eye there. So. Otherwise, Brad, I think that wraps about it for this video.
Yeah,
We'll hopefully have another video up with updates on Elsa
yeah.
next
Early next
week. So
week.
make sure you join us then. Of course, we're WeatherWorks. You can follow us, weatherworksinc.com, and see what we do there professionally. Of course, we're also on social media. We have a podcast, The Weather Lounge, a new episode coming out next week, and we have tons of episodes. If you want to check that, make sure you subscribe to us on any podcasting app you have. And again, as always, we're on weatherworksinc.com, and we'll see you here next week.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
See ya.